Hello again, YouTube! You're back for a third video! This is it, this is the video I'm going to do the outriggers. They're coming off next. I'm going to have a look at the strength of this now. There's a bracket here which supports the bulkhead. This bracket here which comes up from the chassis also holds the steering box. And on the driver's side here, where that steering box is, it also bolts on there. And of course, you know, supporting the column. So I think the driver's side of the bulkhead might be fairly sturdy. I'm going to cut through this bolt and see how sturdy this feels before cutting that off. It's all about keeping that reference point. So I'll cut through here. If this is flimsy, then I shall weld on some bars somewhere, just a random bar going forward or back or something, so that this is then strong and still in the right place. Then cut this off and so on. But I've got a feeling the driver's side might actually be strong enough, we'll see, because of the steering column and all of this strength. The passenger side though, you can see, that'll be all that's left, is that connection, those two bolts, those two rusty bolts there and there, which hold the bulkhead on this side to this upright section here. So not a lot of strength in that, and I think this side will be quite flimsy once I cut through there. So I'll do this one second. I'll start over there, but yeah. So there we go. This is the video where I'm replacing the outriggers. Here we go. And no time lapse on this one, I'm afraid, because the battery ran out. I have, you can see, changed the outrigger. That one's still original. That one's the new one. So I was able to cut through here, and I found that the bulkhead was pretty sturdy. It didn't move much. Yeah, you know, pushing it up and down, forcing it around. So I haven't had to brace it, basically. This didn't move at all. So there's the new outrigger lined up, as you can see. With this, the whole purpose of keeping this here was to get this lined up. Now it is actually fairly weak up and down. There you go, you can see it shifting. But that is only because while I've welded it in place on three sides, I've found the bottom is completely rotten, so I've cut out quite a length there of steel, and that unfortunately was the point where I ran out of cutting discs. So I've taken the windscreen off, that's over there. Yeah, revealing a whole load more rot here, and I'm quite pleased now that we have got that second bulkhead. It's not brilliant. I've taken the dash out here, the dials, sorry, and the whole of the loom. Nice bit of corrosion through there, look. Yeah, that was pretty bad. That's that bit, and up there as well. So it really is quite a rotten bulkhead. Yeah, so the next thing is this to come off, which I believe this cavity under here is is where the hot air goes, and yeah, and then the top. Anyway, I started stripping it this evening, and I've come to the conclusion I think I need to stop, really, because I want to do this outrigger, then take this bulkhead off in as complete a way as it can be. So I want to leave it like that, take it off as it is, and then once the other one is mounted and painted, I can start transferring bits across, and it'll be easier to have the bits come off this and onto the new one rather than strip this completely and then lose track of what goes where, you know. Hopefully I'll get a time lapse of repairing that other outrigger. Got to blast a few more bits of weld on there, and as with the other side, it is a little crapo underneath. But in the meantime, exciting things have happened. We have got 4 large parcels from Paddock Spares. I don't know what's in any of these, so why don't we do a little opening up video. Box number 1 then. Thinners, I think. Yeah. Thinners, 1 litre of thinners. So you can probably guess what the next one is. 2 tins of marine blue paint.
So this is the paint of bulkhead, and apologies, I'm discovering what comes out of these boxes. It's been a little while, I understand the size, I've still forgotten what's in there. So that's paint.
There we go. 1 chassis member. I think this goes under the gearbox. The one we have is very rotten under here. This is all, well, there's nothing left of it really, so we just replace that. That was pretty good value, I seem to remember. I can't think what it was. And this is the bottom, sort of strengthened with a bit of wood here for delivery. The bottom of the grille panel.
So that's completely rotten, and so this will be cut the bottom off and weld this one on, job out. So there's 2 more bits. What else have we got?
That is the link between the left wheel and the steering box. It's also got the yeah, it's got a reverse thread on that end and a normal thread on this end, so you can adjust it in situ. You just give it a twist. It might be the arrangement for the standard one. I'm afraid I'm not sure. But it's also got these lovely locking nuts. So none of those clamps that go around it, but actually just a big locking nut. So they're quite smart, really. Anodized by the looks of it as well. And then this is the link between the two wheels. So this one would be the one you alter to do your tracking. So that's one of the uprights that holds the bulkhead to the chassis. Chassis bolts on here and bulkhead bolts on here. That one goes on the driver's side. I believe it connects. Ooh, I'd have to have a look. Like that, steering box like that, something like that. Splash guard cover, something like that. Here we are, this is the front of the chassis. I don't know if you can see it in the camera there, but that's one of the front ends of the chassis, which I'm going to cut off and repair with this. And there should be hopefully another one of those. Yeah, there we are. So that's both front ends of the chassis will be replaced. This is a steering box. I found a little bit of play in the steering box. So that's a steering box rebuild kit. What have we got here? Some clamps. Those ones are for the arm that goes between the steering box and the pivot through the chassis. It's got a name and I forget what it is. This, I believe, is the other side. Yeah, so one of these holds the bulkhead to the chassis on the driver's side and the other one on the passenger side. These are the splash guards. So they go between the wheel and the bulkhead in the wing, and they stop the mud being chucked up at the bulkhead. Got some galvanised one, which is brilliant because the last ones were rotten so through. There was very little of them left, and as you can see, they're slightly different. This is the passenger side, and this is the driver's side, and this one has that cutout, which I believe. Let me think about this. Yeah, it goes around the steering box. So that is what that component is. That goes in there, I believe, and just finishes the job and covers the steering box. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are all the parts that I've ordered. Oh, tell a lie, there's more! Exciting. What's in here? There's two of them, whatever they are. Oh, okay, yeah, these are the steering ends, the track rod ends for the... That's interesting. Oh, there we go. That one goes between the pivot through the chassis and the steering box. Now, back on with the welding. Outriggers both on now. And patches underneath all done. Bit of weld I'm proud of, and that's about it. The rest of it looks pants. But it's all strong and it'll grind back. There's a huge patch on the bottom there. There it is, unattached, only being held in loosely by a couple of bolts. I've got the two cross members here. This one is the one that I've cut off, obviously, and this is the new one. And you can see there's a little bit of corrosion. You might think I was being a bit crazy replacing it. I could have just painted it, right? But you know, once the corrosion's in, it's in. So maybe I was being a okay. That's okay. That's pretty shagged. Yeah, that's pretty shagged. Good, we'll replace it then. There, I've cleaned all the paint off the new cross member, and underneath I've cleaned extensive amounts of paint off. There you go, you can see where the welds are going to go. And then in here as well. And there, marked it up. The holes are huge, so there's plenty of accommodation for misalignment, but yeah, my Tipex marks aren't the most accurate, but they, you know, as far as I can see, it's in the same place as the other one. So yeah, jacked it up, it's, put a bit of pressure on it so it's held nicely, and now I'm going to buzz some weld on there. Lovely. Yeah, so there's a load of rust here, really quite caved in. You hit it with a hammer to see how bad it was, you know. So I made a new panel there, it slots in nicely, very pleased with it. Drilled a hole, got the wiring through,
This wiring's shagged, but you know, I've ruined it with the grinder and so on, but it already had a wire which wasn't working, and so it was run down the outside of the chassis. So I've got some new wire to go in, but of course I'm going to be applying more heat to it, so it needs to be the last thing really. So I've still got the far end of it sticking out the back of the chassis, and I've got a new cable to go through. It comes off a trailer, so I think it has 7 maybe cables in it, and it's all in one outer insulation, so it should do the job nicely. So I'll pull it through using this, hence why I'm leaving it there. Yeah, so I'll buzz that in next. There we go, consider it buzzed in. I'm going to leave it there. So it's not a great deal left to do. I think both these members of the chassis are pretty good, and this is great as well. The steering, it's got a funny name, this thing, like transmitter or something weird. Anyway, that thing came out of there pretty well, and there's very little corrosion in there of any significance, so that can all be cleaned up. These ends obviously need changing, but that's kind of it. I think the rest of it, I'll hit it around with a hammer and whatnot and check it, but I think it's all okay to just clean up. So I did put another patch in there yesterday as well. You can see that one there. These 3 bolts are where the upright mounts for the bulkhead. So this one here was very corroded. It was actually still intact, but really there was quite a pit in it where the rust flakes had come off and significantly reduced its thickness. So I'm going to leave it there. Just because the video is getting a bit long really, and in the next video then hopefully you'll see the axle being removed, these fronts being repaired. I'll probably squeeze in prepping and painting it as well. That'd be amazing if I can have that finished in the next video. I'll do my best. So that's all for today folks. I really hope you're enjoying the videos, and I hope you tune in for the next one. Thanks for watching.